Hey there, welcome back. This is Code with SDM here, and in today's video we are going to discuss about Laravel Socialite. And Laravel Socialite, this is the package that is found on official documentation of Laravel. When you visit the package section here, you will find it down here. So that's the package that we are going to discuss today. Okay, so when you have a Laravel, especially Laravel 12 application or Laravel 11, you have an option to create the application with the starter kits that you can use. For example, in Laravel 12 now we have starter kits like Livewire starter kit, we have React starter kit and Vue.js starter kits. So when you are using Laravel for those form-based authentications, that is one way of doing it. But we have another way of allowing other third-party applications to do the authentication in a quicker way and simple way. So that's where the Laravel Socialite comes in. So if you visited many of the websites or applications, you find that you have the form to fill your, let's say, your authentication details, like in login or registration page, but you have also the other options to continue with Google, Facebook, or GitHub, or anything else. So that's how the Laravel Socialite do in Laravel applications. So here in Laravel applications, we use this package called the Laravel Socialite. So currently, Laravel Socialite, as I was explaining, it does the authentication by using the protocol known as OAuth. O stands for Open Authorization. So Open Authorization, this is the protocol that I'm going to explain to you in a minute, but it is being provided by some of the providers, and currently the Laravel Socialite package support the authentication via Facebook, X, that formerly known as Twitter. We have LinkedIn, Google, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and Slack. So those are just a few that are mentioned here, and that are the ones that are being supported by the package. Okay, so now let me explain the protocol, how it does, and when you install this package, you have to understand how it does this open authorization to a Laravel application. So when you are talking about OAuth, as I was saying, this is the protocol that allows your users to grant third-party applications access to their data without revealing their usernames or passwords. So imagine when you want to log in into a new website, but you don't want to create yet another user and password. That's where OAuth comes in. So Open Authorization or OAuth is like a secure delegation system. So instead of giving the new website your direct login details, you just tell the OAuth provider like Google, Facebook, or GitHub, the ones that I've mentioned before, and you just tell it that it's okay for the new website to access specific and limited information about you. So those information, like they can be your name, your email address, and other specific and limited informations. And you just tell it to grant those access on your behalf. So what you do when you are using Laravel Socialite, you grant permission to the OAuth provider like Google or GitHub or any other provider to issue a secure token to that website that you are logging or you want to sign up. After doing that, the website will use that issued token to verify your identity and also get the approved information without ever seeing your actual password. So it will authenticate or it will authorize and give the verification to your details without you using your password that you use to log into that another application. Let's say, for example, you have created an account on GitHub, so you don't need to use the same details to log into this new website. So you just give that GitHub permission to give those information to this new website. So in Laravel, we use the Laravel Socialite package to make this easy because the package handles all the complex OAuth handshakes behind the scene. So when your user click, let's say, login with Google or Facebook or any socialite, the package will direct them to that specific service provider for the authorization. And once the user approves the authorization, the service will send them back to your Laravel application with a secure token. So that is the main thing that is happening behind the scene. So the package will receive that secure token, and then the Socialite package will use this token to retrieve the user details or the specific allowed details that you have allowed. It will use that token to access them, and then it will quickly register them or log them into your application without them needing to fill out a form or remember a new password. So that is what this package does. So that is the simplest way I can explain this, and without wasting more time, I want to show you what we are going to build, and then we will start to build it. So here is the sample application that we are going to create. So this was a Laravel 12 application that I have created, and I have created it with a starter kit for Livewire. And now if I go to login page, you will see here I have this login form, which was the primitive or the one that is coming with the Livewire starter kit. And then I've added two buttons here, the one for sign up with GitHub and the second one to sign up with the Google. So by using these two ways, you will allow your user to be logged in or sign up directly without needing to provide these authentication details to this new Laravel application. So to do that, for example, I'll just show you how to do with the Google. So I'll click here. You will see I've been redirected to Google, and as you can see here it prompts me to choose an account that I want to use it to log in. So I'll use this one, and now it will direct me back to the Laravel application, and now you can see it has logged in me successful, and you can see I've been able to access the dashboard of my Laravel application. So this I've used the Livewire starter kit as I've mentioned before. So, and as you can see here, I have the details for the user that has been logged in. As you can see here, I have the name, I have the email, and here on the settings, you can see these are the details of the user that have come from Google and not from the details that I created an account. So this comes from the OAuth provider. Alright, so now I can log out here, and then I can go again and use the GitHub. So you can see it has directed me to this page because I've already logged in it with the GitHub. So what I can do, alright, so now this is how this OAuth or Laravel Socialite package works. So now let's go to the coding session and let's start to do everything from scratch so that we can reach this point. So now let's start by creating the new application for this, and then we are going to start our project. Okay, so let me go to Laravel HUD. Here I'm going to create a new application. So I'll quickly add a new site, then a new Laravel project, then I'll select Livewire as my starter kit, and then next, then I'll provide the name of our application. I'll call it Laravel 12, Socialite, and then I'll use Laravel built-in authentication. Here I'll say no, and then I'll say next, and then this will start to create our Laravel 12 application. So I'll pause the video. When this will be done, we will resume with our project. Alright, so as you can see, the Laravel 12 application has been created successful. So now here I can show you. If I click this one, you'll see this is our application that has been created. If we go to login, now you can see the login form is just the one that comes with the Livewire starter kit. So nothing else. As you can see, if we go back to sign up, also you can see there is nothing like login with GitHub or login with Google. So what we are going to do, we are going to start building this OAuth authentication using the Laravel Socialite package. So let's go back to the documentation, and here you need to do the installation part. So we need to run this command, composer require Laravel Socialite. So let me copy that command. So this is the command that I'm going to use. So let me copy it, and now let me open my project on my VS Code. So what I'll do, let me just open it through here. So this is Laravel 12 Socialite. Then I'll open it with Cursor IDE. Alright, so here we are in Cursor IDE. So let me close these other tabs, and then I'll zoom it a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing here. So from here, I want to open a terminal. And then I'm going to paste the command that I've copied. So composer require Laravel /socialite. Then I'll say enter. So this will copy all the required files from the GitHub repository of Laravel Socialite package. Right, so you can see this is done, and we are using Socialite version 5.20. Okay, so now let me clear my terminal. Right, so now let's go back to the documentation here. So after being able to install it successful, you need to do some of the configurations, and before you do anything, you need to have the credentials for the OAuth provider that you are going to utilize in your Laravel application. So here you have been given this sample configuration for GitHub. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it inside the config directory inside the service.php file. So let me copy this one, and then I'll show you how to do it step by step. And then let's go to the services, and here you have different kind of services that already comes with the Laravel 12. So down here I'm going to paste that code. Let me squeeze it a little bit here. Okay, so now here we need to have these configuration keys to the .env file. So what we are going to do, let me copy this one, and then let's go to the .env file of our application. Then I'll scroll down here, and then I'm going to paste it, and then I'll leave it that way. I'll also copy the second one, which is GitHub client secret, and then I'll paste it down here. Okay, So we need to have these two credentials. So in order for you to be able to get these credentials, you need to create a developer application on the specific provider that you are using. As you can see now, we have for GitHub, but down here I'll paste it for Google because I'm just going to show you for these two providers. So here I'll say Google. Okay, so we are going to have the same credentials. Okay, so now this callback URL, you need to provide it, and it should be the one that you use when you are creating the developer application on the provider that you are using. So because we are going to use for Google also, I'll paste it down here and I'll just change it to Google. So this will be the driver, and then I'm going to change this to be the one for Google. Just change this one, Google, same way to this one. Okay, so now we will differentiate these your callback URLs in a minute. I'll just show you how to do them. So now, if you go back to the documentation, you need to create a developer application. So because I'm going to use GitHub and Google, I'll start with GitHub. So I'll go to my GitHub account. So here is my GitHub account, and in order for me to be able to create a developer application, I need to go to the settings. So here the settings, and then from the settings page, you need to go to developer settings, and in here you have the GitHub apps, and you have OAuth applications, and also you have the personal access tokens. Okay, and here I will navigate to OAuth apps, and from here we need to create a new OAuth application. So I'll just click this one, and then you need to provide some of the details. So the first details will be the application name of your application that you are going to create. So I'll say Laravel Socialite. So I'll just use that one. Here will be the homepage URL of your application. So for right now, if you can see, when you log in successfully to this application, the home URL will be this way. So let me just show you. It will be this way, then dashboard, because that is where when you log in successful, you will be redirected. How do you know that? Because when you visit the web.php file of your application, you will see here, this is the dashboard, and then this is the welcome page. So when you will be authenticated, you will be redirected to this page, because this have this auth middleware that you will guide that this route should be only accessible by the authenticated users. So that's why I know that this will be the home page. Okay, after knowing that this will be the home page, and now you can describe your application if you need, but that is not required. But here you need to provide the authorization callback URL. If you go to this page, you see here we have this redirect, and as you can see, the corresponding URL should be your application URL, then you provide the callback URL. So to do so, down here you will see you have given this sample application. So you have the redirect path, and also you have the callback URL. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy these two URLs, and then I'm going to paste it inside my web.php file, and here I'm going to import this Socialite because I've already installed the package. So here you will see this is important. You need to use this one if you don't have the class importing automatically. Okay, so here we have this first route, which is auth redirect, which will be used to redirect our user to the OAuth provider that we are using. And we have this one, which is used for callback. So this is the one that is needed here when you are creating the application. So we need to provide this one. So to do so, here I'm going to change one thing. So this, instead of being auth redirect, I'm going to make it auth, then GitHub redirect, and here it should be auth GitHub, then callback. Okay, so here, after being able to do that, now let's copy this path, and then here on GitHub you need to provide first the link of your application. So I'll just copy this here, because as you can see here, you need to give the correct URL, and then we are going to paste the auth/github/callback here. So let's paste that, remove that /. So this will be the callback URL for our application. So after doing that, let's register the application. Okay, now you can see this is our application that we have created, and you can see we have 0 users. And here you have been provided with this client ID and the security client secret. So the client secret, you need to generate it. So I'll just say generate. So I'm going to use my password. I'll confirm, and then here I have these credentials. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this client ID. I'm going to paste inside my .env file, because I've already created these variables. So I'll paste it there, and then I'll copy the secret key, and then I'll paste it here. Okay, after doing that, we need to do the same thing for Google client. So what I'm going to do, I'll finish up with GitHub, then I'll show you how to do with Google. So after doing so, if you go back here on the documentation, when you redirect to your user, when you get the callback URL, you can be able to access the details of that specific user. And then for now, let me just show you how this works. So I'll just go to my page. If you go back here, so you can see this is a login page, and we don't have the login with the GitHub button here. So to do so, I have this Pillar UI authentication page, and from here I want to copy this button. So I'll just go to HTML, and then I'll copy just this button. So I'll copy this div. So I'll copy this from here, the button and this div. So let me just copy up to here, and then I'm going to here I'll find the login form, which is this one, and then from here I'll paste that code. Okay, after doing that, if you navigate back to the page here, now you see we have this, but I want to run npm run dev in order for the styling to work as we intend. So npm run dev. Okay, now let's go back to the page, refresh. And now you can see we have this button here. So I'm going to add another one for the GitHub. So I'll just copy paste this one. And here I'll say sign in with GitHub. And then I'm going to have a margin top of 3. And then if we go back here, you'll see we have signed in with Google and we have signed in with the GitHub. So let me just remove this one and see. Okay, so now it looks good. So now we need to change this icon. So I can change that one from here. So let me just show you. I've already downloaded the GitHub icon, which is an SVG icon. Then I'm going to paste inside my application. So Laravel Socialite, I'll paste it inside the public, and then I'll paste it there. And now I can be able to use it here. So instead of having this SVG, I'm going to have an image tag, and then I'm going to use the asset function, and then I'm going to access that GitHub SVG. And if it is not found, I'll just say provider logo. Okay, and now let me just see again, and here you can see we have the GitHub icon, but it's not the white one, so you can just change it to white one. But if we will log in successful, we can change the theme to white, and then you can see that the icon is looking just fine. So now if you try to click, these buttons are not working anyway. So now let's make this to be an anchor tag. So instead of being a button, I'm going to change it to be an anchor tag. And then here I'll change it to hyperreference, and then from here I'm going to pass the route that we have created from here, which is auth GitHub redirect, which will direct our user to the OAuth provider, this one, and then the callback will be used by the OAuth provider to redirect the authenticated user back to our application. So now you need to do the same thing for Google. So let me just copy paste this one, and then here I'll just change this one to Google. So make sure you change here the driver, which is this one, because this is the function that determines the driver that you are using. And here on the callback, we change the driver to, and here you can see this is Google and this is Google, but here we have the GitHub and here GitHub. Okay, after doing that, now let's change this redirect on the login form. Now we will change this one to anchor tag, also this one, and then here change it to hyperreference, and then we are going to paste the path, which is auth Google redirects, as you can see. Okay, so now when you will click any of these buttons, you will be redirected to that specific auth provider. So for now we have only configured for GitHub, because that is one that we have configured the client ID and the secret key. So for now let's try the one for GitHub. So let me refresh again, and now let's try to click the GitHub one. Okay, so here it says the redirect is not associated with this application. Okay, the application might be misconfigured or could be trying to redirect you to a website you weren't expecting. Okay, so now let's see again on our application. Okay, but here on services we need also to change this one because we have already updated this on GitHub. Because if we visit again on GitHub here, you see the callback URL now is this one. So let me just copy this one and then I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so now let me just run optimize command. So it will be php @optimize. All right, and then let's go and try again. So let me go back. Alright, so now here is the page again. So now let's click sign in with GitHub, and now you can see it gives us this prompt. So we need to authorize the Laravel Socialite. So this is the name of our application that we have created from here. So you can see the name of our application is Laravel Socialite. So here it prompts us to authorize this application. So authorize this, and then we are going to be redirected to this application. So we say authorize. Okay, you are being redirected to the authorized application, and you will be the email will be sent to you, so that to let you know that you have give authorization access to that application. Okay, so now as you can see, we don't see anything because here on web.php file you can see we have only received the user, but we didn't do anything from here. Okay, so we don't even redirect our user to anywhere. So that's why you can see it just stuck here. So what we are going to do, let me just show you from the documentation here. If you scroll down here, you have this option to get that user, and then you are going to create that user in your database because you authenticated the user, and then we want to store the user credentials so that when they will be using again a driver like GitHub, when they will be already stored in our database, then we can know that this user already authenticated to our application or not. So now we are going to use this way to create our user and also update if the user has already logged in. So I just copy this and this redirection, and I'm going to overwrite this one. Okay, because here we just get the details of our user from the GitHub. As you can see, this method helps you to get the instance of a user details from the GitHub, from the Socialite. So the details that comes from the authorized application will be accessible here, and then from that details we are going to use it to give the ID to our GitHub, to our user, and then we are going to check if that user is already here by using this GitHub ID. We are going to create if the user is not there, but we are going to update if the user already exists in our database. So here, these are the details that we are going to create if the user is not existing. So for now, this will not work because we don't have these two fields in our user table. So what we are going to do, let's add these two fields in our user table. So let's go to the users, and from here I'm going to add those fields. So I'm going to add a string. The first one should be GitHub token, and it should be nullable because the user is not supposed to be required, because the user can log in by filling the form details. So when they will use that way, this will be not usable. So you need to give them a nullable function here to make them to be nullable at default. Okay, also we have the GitHub ID, and lastly we have the GitHub refresh token. Okay, but because we are doing this for GitHub and also for Google, I'll just copy paste this and change the ones for Google. So I'm just going to change this one. So I'll just say Google, and then this will be added automatically to our table. So let's run php @ migrate, then refresh, in order to update the database with these new fields. Okay, so now if you go here and we go to the adminer, which is our database, you will see we have the users table, and when you visit it, you see on structure we have the GitHub ID, we have GitHub token, GitHub refresh token, Google ID, Google token, and Google refresh token fields added in our user. And you can see we don't have any user at the moment. So here, if we go back to the web.php file, here, because we have the GitHub and also we have the Google, so what I've done here on GitHub, I'll do the same to Google. So let me just import this, and I'll say that one. But here, because the user, the email that you are using on GitHub will either be the same email that you are going to use on Google. So here on this attribute that we are going to check before creating our user or update, I'm just going to add the email here. So we need to check the Google, the GitHub ID, but also the email, because the email can be multiple in your database. So that will give you an error if you don't do that. So here it should be GitHub user, then we are going to access the email. Okay. Yeah, so by checking these two, it will be easier for us to check if that user exists or not. Okay, so I'll do the same thing for Google. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this one and I'm going to paste it here. All right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this one to Google, and then I'll show you this in a minute, how to do that, how to get the credentials for Google. And also I'll change this one. Okay, so now this is fine. As you can see here, we get the user and we update or create, and then we store the user on this variable, and then we use that instance of that user to authenticate in your application. We use this facade, and then we are going to call this function called login in order to authorize that user that has been created or updated, and then we are going to redirect them to the dashboard. The same thing that is happening here if you are using GitHub. Okay, so for now, if we go back and try again to use the GitHub, so let's go back here on our application, and let me go back. So this is because we have deleted the database. So now let's refresh again, and now let's try to sign in again with GitHub. Okay, we need to run optimize again, because this route we have created now is the one that is supposed to be here on the first place. So for now, let's change that one. So let's run optimize. As you remember, we have this path, which will be our home page URL. So it's socialite.test/admin. So that is the one that should be redirected to. So now let's go back to the page here and refresh again. Okay, now let's do it again. Right, so now here you can see we have these issues because I know we didn't add these feeds to the model, so we need to add them to the user model. Here on fillable, in order for mass assignment, we need to add the GitHub ID. We need to have all of the fields that we have here, so we need to have GitHub token. We need to have the GitHub refresh token. The same way for Google. So we need to have Google ID. We need to have Google token. And we need to have the Google refresh token. Okay, by adding this means our model will be able to add those data, and here this functionality will work as we expect to either update or create. But another thing is, here you can see it has complained about the password, because in our application the password is required in our model. So in order for us to be able to do this, I'll just have the password field here, password, but I'll give it just a simple password. So I'll just have hash here for password encryption, and then I'm going to give the default password, and then I'll say password. The same way we are going to need it for Google. Okay, because what we are doing for GitHub, it will be the same way for Google. That's why you see I'm doing the same thing to here too. Okay, so now if we go back here and try again, let's go back, refresh, and now sign in with Google, with GitHub. Okay, it says all right, we need to run optimize because the routes are being cached. So if we do this, the cache will be refreshed, and then this will work just as we expect. So after doing that, now let's go back here, refresh again. All right, now let's try to sign again with GitHub. And boom, now you can see we are here on the dashboard, and we have the details of our user. We have this email, we have the name, and these details are coming from the GitHub. So that's how easy we just do that using Laravel Socialite. So a simple explanation is this callback is the one that received the details from the the developer application that we've created. So when it will receive that request, you will receive the details of that specific user, and then we are going to use that user to check if that user already exists in our system. If already exists, we are going to update the details. So we are going to update these details that you see here. But if the user is not does not exist in our application, we are going to create. So that is the importance of using this update or create function that is provided by Laravel, and then that is stored user that is stored in that variable. We are going to use that instance to authenticate that user, and then after authenticating the user, we will direct that user to our dashboard. So that's how easy and easy steps that you can use to do the Socialite authentication by using the Laravel Socialite package. So now let's finish up with Google. So the only thing that is changing here, let me log out. When you go to sign in with Google, the only thing that will change here is we need to provide the, as you can see here, we need to provide this one, and also the callback URL. So we need to have this in our Google console. So we need to go to Google console. So here is the link to Google console. I'll share with you if you have never used the Google console, or some of the people called it Google Cloud. Okay, so when you visit the Google Cloud, you need first to create a project. So from here, if you don't have any project, you can just create a new project, and then you can just use that specific project. So for now, you can see I have this project that I've already created, and then from this project, here on the sidebar, I have the API and the services, and here I have the credentials. So let me just go to the credentials. Okay, and from here you can see you can create new credentials, and after creating those new credentials, you will have an OAuth client ID, because here you are going to select the OAuth client ID, and then this will create something like this. And then if I open this one, you will see here I have the client ID, and then I have the client secret. So here I have the client secret, and here I have the client ID. But here you will be supposed to create an authorized redirects URIs. So here I'll just remove this one, and then I'll provide the one that we use in our application. So here you will see I'll just copy this link up to here, but I'll just change something for Google. So here, instead of GitHub, it will be Google. So this will be the URL that is supposed to be used in here. So authorized redirect URIs, we need to paste that URL that we have copied. Okay, so here, after changing this URL and using this one, as you can see, you have this error saying that this is the invalid redirect, and it must end with a public top level domain such as .com or .org. So means that Google will not allow you to use this .test auth URLs, because this means that your application is only for testable, or for testing application, or for development purpose only. So this will not work for us. So in order for you to be able to overcome this, when you are using local development server or environment like Laravel had, you need to use something like expose. So you need to have the expose, you need to have the expose token, and then by using the expose, you will be able to expose your local application to the public key domain. So that public domain, it will be the one that you are going to use here. So that is the easiest way that you can use, but you have another way to use ngrok. So you can use ngrok, and it will expose your application to the public domain, and then you can use that public domain, and then you can just change that domain and paste it here. And after updating the domain, you need also to update it from the Google client here, and then after updating those, then in your application, this login with Google will work just as fine. But for now, because I don't want to use the expose or any ngrok, so that's why I created two applications. The one using Laravel had, which is the one that I was showing here, but I have another one that I created by that I showed you on the demo. So let me just show you. So this application that I want to show you, I created it using just inside the XAMPP application, so it does not run on any local development server. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open it in my VS Code. So let me open it on VS Code. So as you can see, I've also done the configurations as we have done on our application. So from here you can see I have the GitHub and also I have the Google client, because now if we try to run this application, it will run on this local development server or URL, which is this one. So let me just show you. Okay, so from here we need to run php artisan, then save. Okay, from here you can see this is running on this URL, which is server, and you can see that is the URL that I've used on both GitHub and also Google. So for now, if I run my application here on the browser, so this is the one that I'm running it on XAMPP, and this is the one that I'm running on Laravel HUD. So this one, if I go here on my client, if I go back and cancel and open it again, you will see this is the URL that I'm using. So this URL is the one that I've configured it here. So you can see this is the one. Okay, so by using that URL from here, if you will see, let me just run npm so that the styling of our application can be good. So npm run dev. Right now let's go back here and refresh again. And now you can see this is how it looks like. So now if I click sign up with Google from here, you will see I'll be directed to Google as we explained before, and then I can choose the account to log in with, and then you can see I'll be redirected to my dashboard, and the Google authentication works just fine as expected. But if you're using Laravel HUD, you will not be allowed to use this .test URL here on the client. Why? Because Google does not allow that. It only allows the public domains. So by saying so, as I've mentioned before, the only solution that you have in order to use the Laravel Socialite development server is to use the Laravel HUD expose or ngrok, and those applications, they will give you the public domain of your application, and that domain, you will be the one that you need to change it on here and also on the client. So after updating those two, then you will be good to go. So that's how this Laravel Socialite package works, guys. But I believe this video was helpful, and for those who felt this video was helpful, please give it a like and share it with friends and other, so that is the way that you are supporting me. So by saying so, I'll just say goodbye and see you on the next video.